Hey, book lovers. My name is Em, and I want to talk about books. And cats. Welcome back, book lovers. The podcast returns. I would like to apologize for the abrupt ending to last season and kind of disappearing for a little bit. Life was lifing, and sometimes you just have to ride it out. Anyway, better late than never, and I am so happy to be back to chat about books, cats, and whatever other fun stuff comes up. Storytime with Em is also coming back. Episode 1 is coming soon with a new short story. So definitely check that one out. I have to say that story was such a relief when I finished writing it. I recently went through a very, very long period of intense writer's block, which was part of the reason that Books and Cats kind of fell by the wayside for a little bit. I really hate writer's block. I've been lucky to not experience it very often, but when it hits hard. Usually lasting for months or even sometimes years at a time. I'm always afraid that it's going to be gone for good this time, but so far, it has always come back. This last time was really upsetting. I kind of thought that I might actually be fully done with writing, like that phase of my life might be over. It was a total bummer, but I just couldn't write. I'd try to just free write, just write down anything, but I couldn't even get past the first few words. I just had no creative energy, no urge to write at all. Luckily, it did finally pass, and when I finished this new story, I just had such a flood of relief. I really didn't try to force anything more. Honestly, was a little nervous that there would be nothing there. But then I had another story idea, and the words are flowing again. I am beyond happy about that. Very few things in my life have been consistent through every stage of my life, but writing has always been at the core of everything. I knew by first or second grade that I was going to be a writer, and that's the one thing that has kind of stuck over all the years. I even remember writing my first book, quote unquote, in second grade. I actually wrote 2 books. And my childhood is pretty foggy, so when I remember something, it definitely had a significant impact on me. And I do remember those moments and the teachers who actually nurtured my creativity. Like I said, I've always believed I was a writer. And for now, it continues. I hope it keeps coming back forever, honestly. Anyway, I am psyched to be writing again. I may stick to short stories for a little bit. I'm just going to go with the flow and see what happens for now. So now let's talk about books. This week, I'm going to start out season 4 by going back to one of my favorites, Riley Sager. He has been pumping out a book a year, and I am delighted. His writing is really engaging and entertaining. Sometimes it's a little beyond belief, but it works for me. Anyway, this week I am talking about The Only One Left. This is technically his newest book, but he has another one coming out very soon. I think it's in June, which I'm also very excited to read. And I really did enjoy this story. The setting is awesome. It is set in a huge mansion and estate that kind of sits on this cliffside, and slowly kind of throughout the story, the cliff is collapsing into the sea. The house itself is leaning more and more, but that's not even the strangest part about the house. There are all kinds of strange noises, shadows, and footsteps in the night, and there's also just this overwhelming presence of evil. Because the house was the location of a horrible murder. An entire family was slaughtered, except for one daughter, named Lenora Hope. She remained, and it was believed that she had killed her parents and sister. There was even a rhyme about it that continued through numerous groups of children until it reached the ears of our main character, Kit. Kit's a grown woman now, but the schoolyard chant still comes back to her when she receives her new work assignment. See, Kit's in kind of a tough situation. She's a caregiver for the elderly, but it has become almost impossible for her to find work after her last patient died due to her negligence. It's even more suspicious that her last client was her own mother, who was suffering with late stage 4 cancer and dying slowly day by day. There wasn't enough to pin the murder on her, but everyone still believed it and turned against her, even her own dad. Her boss grudgingly keeps her on because she wasn't actually proven guilty or even tried. But the only job that he will offer her is at Hope's End, the aforementioned mansion and estate on the cliff. One thing I love about Sager's stories is that he manages to isolate his characters to kind of keep the action and suspicion contained to one small group. It can get a little too surreal and unbelievable at times, but I kind of like that too. It's kind of like watching a bad horror movie, like the old school stuff. And I love it. This one delivers in a big way. The house itself is a character with its ghosts and its secrets, and its slow crumble into the sea. There is a sparse group of people that are still working at the estate, and now Kit is one of them. She even has to wear a uniform. She has been tasked with caring for the owner of the mansion, who is unable to speak and can barely move after having a series of strokes. Lenora Hope has spent years wasting away in her room in this massive house. She stays in one room in this mansion. And Kit is not sure that she can actually handle caring for a murderer because she truly believes that Lenora Hope is a murderer. But once she meets the woman and they kind of discover a way to communicate using a typewriter, Kit becomes drawn into Lenora's story, and Lenora is slowly revealing the truth. Now, the one thing I will say for Riley Sager's writing is he can deliver a reveal. I guessed bits and pieces of this reveal before it happened, but this one was complex. I didn't fully see it all coming, which always makes me super happy. I have a tendency to try to guess things no matter what, and I always love being surprised by books. And I will say that some of it became a little too convenient in places, and maybe a little unbelievable, but it's all part of the fun. I really just enjoyed this book. It was a great reading experience, and it seemed fitting that I start the new season with Riley Sager. I'm already excited for the next one that he's got coming, and I would say look forward to that one in this season as well, because I'm going to read it and cover it. In cat news, not much has happened. My cats continue to enjoy their super chill lives, which isn't super exciting, but they're happy. I am going to do some more episodes on cat-related stuff, but I probably won't do a ton of updates on my own cats. It's always going to be the same, honestly. They're angry because I didn't feed them early enough, someone's sleeping in the laundry basket, clean laundry, of course, and the other ones are in one of their 4 usual places. Yep, cat life. If reincarnation is a thing, I want to come back as a well-loved house cat. It is so chill. Although, honestly, I'd probably get bored. I've been diagnosed with ADHD real late in life, and I'm realizing how almost unable I am to actually sit still. I'm working on it by trying to meditate daily, and I'm getting a little better, but it is the only time that I can sit down during the day for any period of time, other than when I'm reading books. That is the only other time where I sit and I am just fully absorbed in what I am doing. I've always equated reading with meditation. It calms me in the same way, if that makes sense. Books bring me peace. What can I say? And speaking of which, I found this great quote for this week's Quote of the Week. It is from Thomas A. Kempis, or Kemps, I'm not sure. The quote is, "Everywhere I have sought peace and not found it, except in a corner with a book." And that's what I'm saying. It is the most peaceful time to just sit down and read a book. Reading tucked away from the world has been kind of my safety for my entire life. I can find peace in very few other places. Most of them are out in nature, but books can just transport you wherever you are. Anyone remember reading Rainbow? I loved that show. See, I'm a book nerd to my very core, and I always have been. So, I guess that's all for this episode, book lovers. I am so thrilled to be back to talk about books with you and to share some new stories. And if you have any book recommendations, please send them my way. You can find Books and Cats on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and at booksandcatspod.com. That's books, the letter N, cats, pod.com. I hope you all have a beautiful week and read something that just makes you lose time. Thank you so much for listening, book lovers. And until next time, keep reading.
A Frap Media production.